Today we're going to be talking about being a 100% remote distributed company. So in my experience at Lullabot, we'll be going over the 7 tips that I've learned from managing our teammates from time zones on my particular teams, 9 different time zones all around. And then I don't know, Mackenzie, is there any other information that we need to share prior to getting started?
I would love to introduce you. So thank you so much, Monica, for being here today. Monica Flores facilitates the development of digital products as a certified Scrum Master and technical project manager, leading redevelopment and new rollouts at Lullabot, which supports Fortune 100 brands, academic and government agencies, publishers, e-commerce, and enterprise companies. Since 2004, she has developed over 200 websites for clients and employers, including redesigns for Green America, the GIST network for the US Department of State, and more. As a full-stack developer using Drupal since 2008 and working with agile methods since 2014, she is a proponent of using technology to solve problems, connect communities, and build more effective change-making teams. So without further ado, we'll get into our talk, 100% remote, 7 tips for managing a fully distributed workforce. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie. I appreciate it. And, you know, it's always funny listening to yourself. I am just like anyone on this. I'm interested in technology. I'm interested in creating solutions to solve my own problems. And I applaud everybody at this talk and listening to the recording. We have an opportunity as well as an obligation to use our tech skills to help create the world of the future, the world that we want to live in, the world that we want the next generations to live in. So I'm really looking forward to discussing this with you. So in terms of the talk itself, about me, and then I was going to ask a little bit about you. As mentioned, I'm a TPM at a design and development strategy agency. We work with a variety of clients. I got my certified Scrum Master right before the pandemic started, so I got it in March in New York City. But I have, prior to this, been a web developer since 2004. I like reading, hiking, baking, and a fun fact about me, I adopted 2 cats last year. About my company, again, Lullabot builds some of the large-scale Drupal sites that you've seen, and we've been a part of adoption for Drupal around the world. It's a 100% distributed team from the beginning, so we never had a main office. We've always been totally distributed. And I wanted to invite everybody at this chat, or if you're online, please let us know a little bit about where you're coming in from, your pronouns. If you'd like to share them, you can always change it on your profile. Feel free to drop in your LinkedIn account. And one thing that I've learned is using a land acknowledgement. I'm calling in from Manahoac lands here in Virginia. And it's a great opportunity for you to learn where that is. If you go to your nativelands.ca, it will give you a, let me get that link for you. It will give you a, there we go, a land acknowledgement map. So that is the link for you to find where you're calling in from. And then, yep, my second question is if you could put your LinkedIn, because I'd love to connect with everybody on this. So one thing about Lullabot, we always like to lead with our values, and these are posted on every job description. It's posted in all of our communications, and the core values at Lullabot, as stated, are inspire and empower, be human, kick ass, invent and innovate, collaborate openly, and have fun. We try and use these in all of our communications so that people know what it is all about. And just like what Tracy, the former speaker, had talked about, it's always about the people first. This was a retreat picture that we took. We get an in-person retreat once a year. This was in Palm Springs in January, but that's pre-COVID, of course. We work 100% remotely in all US time zones, North America, South America, Europe. And that's me in the front, you saw me with the purple. My lens that I look at my work through is, I always try and keep this in mind, is we want to practice compassion as a way that we interact with our team, our staff, our clients, our stakeholders. It's very important to always realize that people are all struggling, and it's good to give and extend grace to others. I also like to respect boundaries. Many of us have boundaries that we need to enforce and determine and then communicate to other folks. And I like to think about our work in the context of fostering psychological safety, physical safety, and general safety. And again, like Tracy had mentioned in the prior talk, it's always people first over anything, tools, people over procedures, people over projects, even over contracts. Very important. So these are the 7 steps. You can screenshot this. This is what we're going to be going on through in this talk. 1, setting expectations. 2, protecting time. 3, creating standardized routines. 4, investing in the people. 5, working in groups, small groups, large groups, distributed groups. 6, documenting your actions. And 7, listening to others. So we'll start out with number 1, setting expectations. When I joined Lullabot, the description, the salary, the obligations were all very clear. And I would encourage you to think about that. Great resource is diversifiedtech.co. They have a great set of guides and rules where you can connect with other people. In the handbook that's posted, as well as online, we have talked about everything from education, medical, dental insurance, paid time off, all the leave policies. And not only that, but when I first met with folks, the handbook was clear. I got swag. A computer was a computer was paid for. So all of these are ways that you can make it so that straight from the get-go, the expectation is clear on how you interact with your teammates. We also use a tool called Know Your Team, and that allows us to set up one-on-ones. It gives you sample interview questions, and there's lots of different other tools in there to help with icebreakers and to get to know other folks on the team. 2, protecting time. So I know that all of you know this. Time is our most precious resource. Many of us are struggling with basic survival, childcare, schooling, taking care of elders, taking care of young people. And one of the best ways to remote manage your team is to implement asynchronous communications, which means I don't expect you to respond to me in a meeting format. I can expect you to respond to me at your time when you're working hours. So for example, we use Slack. We have dedicated Slack channels. We also use, for example, commenting to notify other folks of changes. We let people control their own time and determine how they're gonna share time with others, as well as set the expectation that your time is valuable. And one way to do that is to use the subscribe to calendar function. I've grayed out my colleagues' names, but as you can see, when I set an event, I look to see if folks are available, and then I find a little pocket of time that matches their availability. So that's one way to do it. That's also defensive scheduling. You yourself can specify that you want to hold some certain time and then don't let other people use it. There's also other techniques that I would recommend, like the Pomodoro method, which allows you to focus, and then take a little break, and momentum dashboard, which I always use to help you focus and put your primary tasks for the day online and in your desktop right when you start. A third way to manage teams is to create routines. And routines mean, for our group, a standard kind of cadence of how things happen. So for example, we have a team call every Monday. It's randomly assigned 3 minutes per person. And we also hear from the executive team, but it's an opportunity to set the week's intentions and hear from other folks on the team. At the end of the week, we also have a generalized serendipity call, and that allows folks to mix across different layers. And that is small groups around 5 to 6 people. We also schedule one-on-ones with either the manager or the development manager. And for me, I do that every week with my teammates. And then of course, we offer daily Scrum stand-up check-ins. So that's for the Agile method. We can check in with what you worked on yesterday, what you're doing today, and what you're planning to do tomorrow. We also have a couple optional items such as coffee and conversation. We have a show and tell that's once a month. And we also have different working groups for particular issues such as government and the inclusion and equity working group. We also do Netflix party nights, that kind of thing. And one way to think about it is to have different channels inside your Slack, as well as different reminders to help you keep on track. So for example, for our town hall, we allow folks to put in questions in the town hall and those get answered at the actual event. I personally use Slack reminders quite a lot to help me organize my thinking around what needs to happen next. So high tech, high touch, remember the humans, but also automate your processes. Okay, we're halfway there. In terms of investing in people, again, just like we had heard from our other speaker, it's really important to support your people. Give them flex time, give them a framework if they're looking for positive or negative feedback, give them a plan for how they're going to build out their next 12 months with you, and include that in your one-on-one planning and additional training with folks. It's so important to realize that the amount of businesses that lose money because of incorrect training or for whatever reason that allows somebody to leave, it's $1 trillion. I'm going to send that link around after this talk, but it's self-inflicted, and all of us can invest in people so that we keep the people that we have. We have a couple of automated systems to help with this process. We use Bamboo HR. As I said, we use Know Your Team. We use NoCo Time to handle reporting on hours, Resource Guru, Expensify for all of the expenses, and TripIt and Fun Retro, as well as we have a Fitbit that everybody on the team gets. I'm having problems pasting information into the Slack channel here, but I will follow up directly after this with the tools in a text format so you can use that. We also work in groups. So in terms of supporting people's autonomy, supporting people's time, we foster different ways, again, optional, for folks to connect inside small groups. For example, we have an engineering values committee that I was a part of to help determine overall thinking about how we would approach our engineering projects. And that took the form of a charter document, meeting notes, so once a week, once every 2 weeks. We also then posted that when the work of the community came to fruition to the live site and to a blog. I want to share with you this staggered agenda on meetings. I love it. It's inside the Drupal diversity and inclusion, but you can set up a staggered agenda to promote folks coming in and putting their update when they make the update. So for example, if you had the roll call at 12, then you could give it a couple moments and then move forward with the rest of the links, just to give people a chance to update and come in and participate in a meeting, but not have to be in a meeting. Two more that I have found: documenting your actions. It's so important. Again, everything is important, but if I always think about if I was hit by a bus, if somebody gets moved, if they quit, if they have to leave, can you still participate? We use transparent documentation as much as possible. We use wikis, we use master files for Jira, we use a shared document. All of that's very, very important to have a way to transfer information regardless of who the person is. So for example, here's a version of our wiki. We offer the demo site so folks can always look and see what it looks like on Tugboat. Tugboat.qa is our QA tool internal to us. We also have team questionnaires. We have a who's who of everybody who's on the team, including contact information and any other way that folks can connect, so that, again, we know that people turn over, people leave, people are not able to, people are on leave. We have a centralized resource for all of them. And then my last tip to others, just listen. Listen to your one-on-ones, listen to your team. We have 2 ears and 2 eyes, so that, and 1 mouth, right? So again, I tell this to my youngest, but we listen and we learn first, then we talk. So follow each other on social media and LinkedIn, like be involved in other folks' lives and be respectful of their time. And then in conclusion, I wanted to just share really quick, I have a picture of the headphones so that you can get really good quality stuff and then you can listen really well. But what I wanted to talk about is when we work with other clients, they often wonder if it's possible to work with a fully distributed team. And in the case of our clients, yes, it is possible. High profile clients like the Grammys, like Past Law, like other folks, can work with a distributed team across time zones and still be happy and comfortable with the results. Great. So if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me. I am at Twitter, and I'll drop the link in here. And then I will also put in all of the resources that I had. And that concludes this part of the presentation. Thank you so much for all of your attention.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Monica. It looks like you have a lot of conversation happening in the chat, so you might want to scroll through there a little bit. But like Monica said, she'll post some of the links that she's been sharing throughout here. You also have some people looking to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much for your time. And let's see if we have any questions. We have a few more minutes left. Great. Well, I will let you hang out in here if you want to wrap up any questions and post those links once you get them all collected. But thank you so much, Monica, for being here today and preparing that talk. It was awesome. You left me with like a lot of great insight, and I agree with providing opportunities for people on your team and also investing in people. So thank you.
I did have a little bit. It looks like my presentation skipped forward. I will share with you if you need to make the case to your employer of why it's important to have remote as an option, do use these statistics. So 40% of people feel the greatest benefit of remote work is having a flexible schedule. 25% lower employee turnover if companies allow remote work. 76% of workers would be more willing to stay with their current employer if they could be flexible. And 4.3 million people in the United States work from home at least half the time. As of this year, 16% of companies are remote only, but the trends are that all of those are going to continue to increase. So do take a screenshot, share that with your employer. If they do not have a flex time remote work type schedule, make the case, because again, from the perspective of the company, they want to keep you. They want to keep the culture. They want to keep the people they've invested in, and remote work is definitely an option for that. Thank you. And I will put some of the links that I had from my talk inside the chat. And then, of course, any questions. So I can look through the chat and see if there are any questions. So 98% of managers believe managers at their company need more training. Absolutely. The relationship with your manager is so important. And if they are not coming from a place of compassion, kindness, respect, respecting boundaries, and fostering safety, psychological and physical, there's a high chance that you'll be leaving in the next few years. And again, from the company's perspective, investing in the training, even items like unconscious bias and additional ways that managers can get past their initial whatever biases they have is so important. I would recommend, if your manager has not gone through it, to identify a learning plan for some sort of diversity, equity, inclusion training and or coaching. Also, if your manager doesn't have that and you work in technical fields, it would be great to have either Scrum training or project management certification, anything, because that also gives managers tools to help with some of the processes. Empathy, yes, empathy, very important as part of it. And again, I mean, I have like multiple life experiences, and part of my job is to make sure that my team is working at the highest level that they can. And that really relies on me understanding other people's life situation. So if people think they need to take the time, like let them take the time. Let's not treat people like little babies. Like let's give them the space, the time, the flexibility, and the tools so that they can give back to us effective work that reaches your high standards, but also respects them as people. And thanks, Helena Hill, for putting your native land acknowledgement. And learning to code is great fun. Absolutely. We have a couple other notes about hiring. Yes, lullabot.com. You can look at the jobs list on there. And I think that is everything on my list. I invite you to take a little bio break and enjoy, and let's connect online. Thank you so much.